Welcome to Module 4 of the Ethical Hacking Principle course. We've laid the groundwork by gathering information and identifying potential entry points. Now, we enter the most exciting phase of the ethical hacking lifecycle, gaining access. In this module, you will learn to exploit the weaknesses you've discovered, execute password attacks, and perform privilege escalation to gain control of a target system. System hacking and exploitation is the process of finding and using vulnerabilities in computers, networks, or applications to gain unauthorized access or control. It covers discovery of flaws, launching exploits to breach systems, and actions taken after access is gained, such as escalating privileges, installing persistence mechanisms, and extracting data. Defenders study these techniques to harden systems, detect intrusions, and remove threats. Learning objectives. By the end of this module, you would be able to 1. Run brute force and dictionary attacks with John or Hashcat and interpret cracked results. 2. Find and launch exploits in Metasploit, configure payloads, and handle sessions. 3. Identify privilege escalation paths and apply exploits or misconfiguration fixes to gain higher access. 4. Record exploitation steps, evidence, and remediation advice in a clear post-exploitation report. Password attacks. Password attacks are a fundamental method for gaining unauthorized access to a system. Even with strong network security, a weak or compromised password can be the weakest link. The goal is to obtain valid credentials to log in as a legitimate user. Let's look at some of the types of password attacks. Types of password attacks. There are two main types of password attacks, which are 1. Brute force attack. This is a systematic, exhaustive attempt to guess a password by trying every possible combination of characters until the correct one is found. While highly effective, it's computationally intensive and time-consuming. 2. Dictionary attack. A more efficient approach that uses a precompiled list of common words, phrases, and leaked passwords, a word list, to try and crack the password. Types of password attacks. There are two main types of password attacks, which are 1. Brute force attack. This is a systematic, exhaustive attempt to guess a password by trying every possible combination of characters until the correct one is found. While highly effective, it's computationally intensive and time-consuming. 2. Dictionary attack. A more efficient approach that uses a precompiled list of common words, phrases, and leaked passwords, a word list, to try and crack the password. Exploiting vulnerabilities with the Metasploit framework. The Metasploit framework is the most widely used open-source penetration testing tool. A toolkit of exploits, payloads, and tools for finding and exploiting system vulnerabilities. 1. Exploits. Code that leverages a specific vulnerability. 2. Payloads. Code executed on the target after exploitation, e.g., a shell. 3. Auxiliary modules. Non-exploiting tools for scanning and reconnaissance. 4. Listeners. Handlers that receive reverse shells or incoming sessions. Privilege escalation. After gaining initial access, you often find yourself with low-level user privileges. Your next goal is to escalate those privileges to an administrator or root user. Privilege escalation grants full control of a system, enabling malware installation, system modifications, and access to sensitive data. Privilege escalation include identifying misconfigurations, kernel and software exploits. Cracking passwords on Metasploitable 2 Lab. This lab will teach you how to extract password hashes from Metasploitable 2 and crack them using John the Ripper. Here are the steps to follow. 1. Get the password hashes. Log into Metasploitable 2, musfadmin, run sudo cat, etc., shadow to view and copy the password hashes. 2. Prepare the hash file for John the Ripper. Open a terminal, create a file named hashes.txt, paste the copied, etc., shadow contents into it, and save. 3. Crack the passwords with John the Ripper. Use John with a word list, e.g., RockU, to crack hashes in bracket. John word list skeptical smiley Ursura share word lists a RockU.text hashes.text, and view recovered passwords with John, show hashes.text. Exploiting a vulnerability with Metasploit Lab. This lab will guide you through using the Metasploit framework to exploit a known vulnerability in the Metasploitable 2 machine. Steps to follow are: 1. Launch Metasploit. Open a terminal and run mesfconsole to start the Metasploit framework, then wait for it to finish loading. 2. Search for the exploit. In mesfconsole, run search vsftpd and load exploit, Unix, ftp, the vsftpd_234_backdoor. 3. Configure the exploit. Load the exploit module, view options, set our hosts to the target IP, list payloads, and set the payload, for example cmd, Unix, interact. 4. Exploit the target. Run the exploit. If successful, you will get a shell on the target and can verify root access with whoami. Privilege Escalation Lab. This lab will simulate a real-world scenario where you have a low-level shell and need to escalate your privileges. We will use a Linux kernel exploit on Metasploitable 2. These are the steps to follow. 1. Get a low-privilege shell. 2. Identify potential exploits. Run uname A on the low-privilege shell to get the kernel version, then use searchsploit, for example searchsploit Linux 2.6.24, or a web search to find a matching kernel privilege escalation exploit. 3. Execute the exploit. Download and transfer the exploit to the target. Compile it with gcc exploit.co exploit. Run .exploit to try to get a root shell, and verify with whoami. These are the core skills of any penetration tester, and are the foundation for the more advanced topics to come. Summary. This module covers authorized, hands-on techniques for gaining and expanding system access, including password attacks and hash cracking, Metasploit exploitation, and privilege escalation, with lab exercises that emphasize safety and clear documentation.